Hi, welcome to the UK Gravel Collective YouTube channel, and on today's video, well, as you can probably see from my breath, it's winter, so it's time to start the winter project. Last winter's project was the frame respray, and if I can be bothered, I'll put a link up there to the series of videos. I think there's 5. So if you've got nothing else to do in winter, watch those. But this year's project is, can these Redshift Topshelf bars and this tangle of wires, brakes, rear mech make this mountain bike into a gravel bike? Now, let me tell you that it's not easy making a mountain bike into a gravel bike. You can't just put drop bars on it because, well, the angles are a bit wrong, like this camera. The distance between here and the bars down there are longer than on a gravel bike, and this end tends to be a bit lower, even though it's got a longer fork. I don't know, I don't understand geometry, I just ride it. But you need a super short stem and a high rise at the front, which the top shelf bar does give you. So the plan is to fit the drop bars, the GRX rear mech, a short stem. This stem might actually be okay with those bars, and a dropper. I'm not sure how we're going to do the dropper because I haven't got a lever, a drop bar lever that does droppers. I know you can get them, I haven't got any money, so I'll be bodging like an ordinary lever, which this already has got. And I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, why not just leave the flat bars on and put some gravel tyres on? Oh, where's the fun in that? Come on, you got to do something in the winter when you don't want to go out riding because it's raining or snowing or it's windy. So I might as well just fiddle about with an old frame. And that's what this video, and maybe a series of videos, because they're probably not going to get it all in one, is going to be about. So stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe if you want to see the rest of the series or any of the other videos. And let's see if we can make this mountain bike frame into a gravel bike. Now, the eagle-eyed amongst you may have noticed there are a few other unique features about this frame which are going to make it a bit difficult because, well, it's got quite a larger bottom bracket than normal. There's a load of clearance. I think a 42mm tyre is probably going to fit in there, and so's the fork. So, I mean, I'll let you into a secret, it's not going to have gravel tyres on it. So it's probably going to be a drop bar mountain bike, but you know, the whole exercise is to see if we can make this into a drop bar bike. So let's do it. Now, this is not going to be a high-end build because I'm just reusing old bits and components that are out the shed or off old bikes that I don't use anymore. Same as probably loads of people have. You've got, I'll keep that in case I need it in the future, and then like 10 years later you still need it, and they feel smooth, so you know, why not use them? I know these bottom brackets are affordable, what, 15 quid, but there's still life in them, so let's use the old bits because it might not work. I'm not spending thousands of pounds to ride it once and think, what a waste of money. So old bits and pieces, and they get covered in crap because I'm probably not going to clean any of this stuff either. Just going to bodge it in, well, not bodge, but put it in, ride it, and then probably not ride it ever again. So here goes. These are the cranks I'm going to use, and look at the length of that bottom bracket. It's pretty hefty. And it weighs an absolute ton, but you know, using all parts. Well, it's not going to be a complete bodge job, I'm going to use some assembly grease. It's really nice when it goes in hand tight. Now I can't remember whether this had spacers on it or not, so I'm going to take the spacer out and risk it. I mean, I can just take it out again. Whoa, what a catch. Right, spacer out. I mean, it is a 100mm bottom bracket, and before anyone comments, I know that this is not a proper fat bike bottom bracket. It's an ordinary one for a 68 to 73mm, but it works. Oh, sorry. Then obviously the other side is an opposite thread. Oh, this has got 2 spacers on it, but that's from the other bike that it probably went on. I'm going to take them off as well. Could be a disaster. But that's why you've tuned in, isn't it? The implied peril. I bet the people who do the dream build are just spinning in their immaculate workshop right now. Nick Riviere up in the backyard bikes is probably just shaking his head. Well, what is this guy doing? But perhaps I'll get on Cade Media and give the channel a boost. If anyone knows them, link this video to them. Right, bottom brackets in. Let's lube up the bearing surfaces. I'm not doing a thorough job here. I mean, I've not even got a fancy workshop apron on. It's slipped in nicely though. Maybe too nicely. Well, I do have this spacer, which I'm going to put in, but looking at it, right, no, it needs some washers, spacers in it. Typical. Anyway, come back to me when I've done the spacers. Right, the cranks are on. There's no play, and it's smooth. Let's give you a close-up view. It's not pretty, but it's gonna work. Right, so I need to get the old bars off and the old brakes, because the brakes are already fitted here, and you know, I don't really want to be asked to be taking the bar tape off, and it's already sort of indexed to that rear mech, and this rear mech is not going to work with those shifters because this is a mountain bike one. So let's get these bars off. Well, so you join me at an exciting moment as the last of the faceplate bolts on this stem are going to come out. Well, say the last of them, all of them. And what I'm going to do is try and take this off as a complete unit with the shifters, the rear mech and the bars and the brakes, because inevitably I'm going to put these back on at some point. And it'd be silly just to break it all up and then have to re-bleed and all that shenanigans. So there we go, that's the bars off. Let's just slip this plate back in so I don't lose the bolts, because as much as I love gravel, the gravel on this path under the bike seems to swallow small parts completely and lose them forever. So I'm just going to put those back in, and then got to undo the rear mech, find the appropriate Allen key. Sorry about the incessant barking. That's not my dog. Oh, and I think we've got one clip to undo. And when I say undo, I mean snip and destroy. There we go. All in one piece to use again on something else. And this one is going on. Now, I haven't measured any of these hoses or cables. This could be a complete catastrophe. It's bound to be, isn't it? I mean, why isn't everything the same flipping size? Anyway, let's try not to lose these bolts onto the floor. I wonder what Steve Pete's doing right now. Bet he's not standing in a frozen garden putting drop bars on a mountain bike. Oh, back to it. Hopefully I'll be able to find that. I'm going to put these in my pocket. Well, this could be the longest video ever, couldn't it? If anyone's still watching, if there's some audience retention, well, thanks. And I hope you've subscribed. And I hope you've had a look in the shop for some t-shirts or stickers, because they all had to pay for this madness. Look, if I get one bolt in, please. It's in. Come back when I've got the others. I just noticed something interesting in the centre of these top shelf bars. There's a little line which tells you where the centre is, so you can line it up. Never seen that before in anyone else's bars. I know down there's some graduations, but yeah, well done, Redshift. Let's try and not get it in the middle at all now. Right, not torqued up, but good enough to see if these cables are actually going to work. So, rear mech. It's got to go around here, through the frame. Along the top tube for some reason, and down to, oh yeah, loads of room for the actual rear mech. Let's plumb that in. In fact, there might be too much cable. Might be a lot of spaghetti flowing about. And then the rear brake through the frame and onto this adapter. Loads of room. Front brake. Front brake. Ooh, it's going to be tight. It's going to be tight, I think. Yeah. Might have an issue with the front brake there. Might need to get some longer hose, which will mean taking the bar tape off, bleeding the system. Yeah, that's the one drawback of hydraulic brakes. Anyway, let's have a fiddle. There we go, rear mix in, loads of cable room. What do you think? It looks terrible, doesn't it? So a bit of progress. The rear mech's on, the brake calipers are on. The front brake is tight, but I mean, yeah, it's tight. It needs changing really. But I mean, it's a rigid fork, so it's not going to compress. So we're going to go with it for now. Worry about that later. So now I suppose we'll to find some wheels and a chain, and well, see if we can index some gears before we go any further. Well, here we go. I mean, these are not 40mm tyres and they weigh an absolute ton, but they do fit on this bike. So what I haven't got is any 180mm rotors, so for now not be able to do the brakes, but let's see if we can index this while they're using a leaf blower next door. So it's a few days later, and this is the first time I've had a chance to get outside when it hasn't been absolutely chucking down with rain. It's some sort of storm. We've had snow, we've had rain, and I think I'll have to get back in the shed pretty quick. But anyway, let's give you an update on the bike. The Redshift Topshelf bars are on. I've changed the front hose because the other one was too short. I've left this one deliberately long because I might fit a suspension fork to this, and I need a longer hose anyway for fitting this to other bikes. As you can see, the wheels and tyres are on, and I actually put some sealant in them and they've held up overnight. The gears are on, they're all working. It's now got brake rotors, they're working, not rubbing. Rear wheel stayed inflated as well. So all we really have to do now is fit a saddle and, well, go for a ride. Oh, and one more thing, because these tyres absolutely throw tons of mud up. So I do have a mud hugger, a rear mud hugger that is converted for a fat bike. And when I say converted, I've hair dried it to the right shape, heated it up, stretched it, and that's why this tape's on here, because they will flex around and destroy your paint. Not that the paint is particularly good on this anymore, it's seen a lot of abuse. So anyway, let's get the saddle fitted, the rear motor fitted, and go for a ride. Oh, one thing I must say, the dropper post is not wired up because I don't really want to mess with the internals on this shifter to make it work with that. I don't want to fit a bar to fit a normal flat bar shifter, which is what this came with. So I've ordered a little seesaw one that fits in under these bars. That hasn't come yet, so what I'll do is just run this static to the height as a normal seat post until that arrives. So let's get the last few bits fitted and get out there for a ride. Although the ride might have to wait because the forecast is not good. Anyway, time to get some tools. Oh, so the rain started again, but it's going to be brave and carry on. Coming a bit closer. So you have to adjust this by tightening this bolt or loosening, and then this wobbles the saddle axis. Bit of a pain to get this set up, but anyway, it's done now. Now, I'm a serial fiddler when it comes to setup, so I can set this up now, and I guarantee you within 20 feet of riding it for the first time, I'll be off and adjusting it again. Probably the same with the stem height. But for an exercise of just actually fitting it, this will do. So, this is the standard mud hugger, and this is the adapted fat mud hugger. As you can see, it's a bit of difference. This one's been hair dried, and happily it comes with Velcro, so having to zip tie on and off isn't a pain in the bum. So they're never pretty, but they are effective, which is the main thing. It's pretty much done. I've just got to adjust the height of the seat post, because that is not my normal position, and then go for a ride. But it's now chucking it down with rain. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but you know, in the comments, do you think that this drop bar from Redshift, the Topshelf handlebar, is going to make this fat bike into a gravel bike? Let me know in the comments. Right, let's look for a weather window and go for a ride.